Hi, Sweet Pea.
Hi, Mummy Bear.
We have another chit-chat.
We do. It's Chit-Chat time again, and we're on episode 72.
This is Nic Howard, award-winning garden designer from We Love Plants.
Mm.
And Nic was on Gardener's World a few years ago now, I think about 3 or 4 years ago,
Yeah.
when Joe Swift came to visit his garden, which he shares with his mum because they have, although they have two separate properties, they share the same garden space.
Yeah.
There were lots of awkward angles in it, I think,
Yeah,
weren't there?
which he somehow created into lots of little rooms and really
Yes.
created borders that kind of filled the space nicely, and just the design worked so well.
It
I
really
thought.
did. It was a beautiful garden. The
Mm.
thing that might stand out for you the most was a very, very bright fuchsia pink wall.
Yeah.
And we talk a little bit about that. I actually had thought
I
it was
really
a
like it.
planting box, but it was
Yes.
a wall that was the point of it was really to distort and trick your eye a little bit.
Exactly.
So interesting to hear about that.
He also had those clipped topiary balls in the lawn as well.
Yes,
that might have
that's right.
stood out for other people.
Well, Nic joined us back at the end of April for a chit-chat, and we have a really quite a lengthy...
We did.
Absolutely a chit-chat.
We had a proper chit-chat is why we chose the name.
We went here, there and everywhere.
We did.
But one of the things that was really interesting was about, how a lot of the plant shows are judged.
Yeah.
And we hear a bit more about that, isn't it? Especially about
scenes.
Nic's experience of Chelsea with his incredible garden.
Oh,
It was absolutely stunning, beautiful sculptures. So we hear all about that. And so that you have a visual of what we're talking about, images of that are on our website. So if you head to notjustagarden.co.uk, go to podcasts and chit-chats, click on Nic's face, you'll get a few images of various topics that we covered.
Exactly.
And links and recommendations in there as well.
We give you the visuals.
We give you the visuals on our audio podcast.
Yep.
Also, any garden recommendations that are made or any nursery recommendations, anything like that, that all goes onto the gardens page and is pinned in the map and links to it on that page too.
Exactly.
In terms of noises, we have some very happy dogs barking in the background. The kids.
Yes, the kids.
The kids were playing. There's a bit of hand clapping. There's some, what sounds like tummy rumbles, but I think it's probably road traffic at Nic's end. So a few background noises, but otherwise a fairly clear record.
Cool.
So, Sweet Pea, tell us the format.
So for Nic's Dream Garden, we've got garden boundary, shed or greenhouse, 5 ornamentals, 5 edibles, 1 statement tree, pond or pool plus 1 plant, and finally favourite seating area, drink, and 1 plant for the area.
And if you have any questions or comments, then please do get in contact. You can do that through the website if you go to the contacts page at
notjustagarden.co.uk,
or you can do it through email, which is
notjustagarden@outlook.com.
Right, shall we jump into this episode, Sweet Pea?
Absolutely.
This is episode 72, a good old chit-chat with Nic Howard.
Off we go!
Welcome, Nic, to a good old chit-chat.
Hello, lovely to see you both.
Very good to see you too. Thank you for joining us. It's been quite a while since we saw you on Gardener's World.
It has been, yeah.
It was back in 2023, wasn't it, that you were on? Quite early on in the year.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, before we actually started publishing our episodes, we did do what we're doing, but not publish them. Just for fun at home
rounds.
Right.
And we did do your episode, and so we made all the notes that we would always make when we're watching one of the episodes, and I thought you might want to hear some of the things that I wrote down, and you can tell me if I got it right. So Joe Swift visited you, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And the notes I made was a 1/4 acre plot at Little Orchards, and the house sits at 45 degrees to the garden, so there are lots of corners, so you used a lot of plants to create more natural lines and flows.
Absolutely, yeah.
Am I getting this right?
Yeah.
And then there was a bit about dark boundaries and how you said you like to manipulate colour to create various spaces within that. And so you used black to blank things out. Then in amongst all that, we saw the most fuchsia pink box with bamboo in it.
Yeah.
So does all of that still exist since your episode?
Yeah, and actually it's not a box, it's just a feature wall and the bamboo is planted behind.
Right.
So it was the reason for that was it was a long, actually kind of slightly sloping boundary that was just quite a shallow, short garden. So it's wider rather than long. And when you went into that space, you were just drawn to this kind of slightly off horizon. So by putting the fuchsia pink wall and then the bamboo behind, actually completely diffuses that view and gives you a really strong focal point.
Yeah.
You might see my background. I've got a lot of pink, and there's a lot. It's like that juxtaposition of all sorts of things.
I never wear pink, and I actually put a pink shirt on just for you
I'm
today. Because we also noticed that you have a bright pink front door as well. Is that a matching colour?
I do.
The wall.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So when Joe was looking around, that was back in 2023, but he said that it had been filmed in the summer of 2022, I think, hadn't it? So
so it was filmed late summer. Yeah, late summer.
Right.
So October. Yeah, I think it was October 2022. So because there was some autumn colour and the garden was just tipping into autumn.
Yes, I remember that now. How long had you been there before they came to film?
So I've been in this house now 15 years. So I moved in 2011.
Okay.
And then my mum, she bought next door, and that was 11 years ago. So then it became, so it's actually two properties. It's part of what was a big estate, and this was the gardener's cottage, and their mum's was the stables. Then they were kind of transferred off in the early 80s. Mum's was converted into a house, and basically they were passed on to family members from the estate ownership. Right. So they were completely separate properties, but they were quite kind of in the corners, as you would imagine, like an estate would like, let's just shove those bits over there. So that's why they're at kind of weird angles to one another, and I've got the kind of Victorian garden wall that was would have had a glass house on the other side. So
do you share
really
the garden?
Interesting. Well, they're two separate gardens, but they're kind of interlinked now. So they have a courtyard or a gate between the two courtyards.
The large kind of through.
So on that episode, you would have seen they did a fantastic drone shot where they came right up, and I was like, wow, you can kind of see how awkward it was. So that was really interesting.
How lovely to get that drone shot and have that video, because it's usually about sort of a 7 or 8 minute segment, isn't it, on Garden as well?
It was. Yeah.
Not hugely lengthy, but lovely to have that kind of set in stone, really. And have you done a lot of changes to the garden since then, or is it pretty much the same?
No, not really. I've been very lazy. The thing is, you do it once and you do it well, and it just works. I do the odd bit of replanting, but to be honest, it's now full, and I think there's bits where I kind of almost like take out everything in a small area and redo the underplanting or something like that.
Right.
But it just works. And we add bulbs every year and things like that. But it's, I don't really garden intensely because I do it for everyone else and not myself.
Well, so we should mention, of course, that you are a garden designer, award-winning garden designer. And you have, your website's called weloveplants.co.uk.
We Love Plants. That's it, yeah.
And is it, I couldn't work out, are you sort of part of a group of garden designers, or are you the sole garden designer?
No, I'm the sole owner. And we've got a team there's 9 of us in the business. So we're now run a design studio, a soft landscape team, and a maintenance team. So we're very soft landscape focused. So it's all about the planting. Right. And it's really the name kind of developed because it was we do what it says on the tin. So when clients come to us, it's like they immediately we love plants as well. So you've got that immediate connection. So it fills out the people that are like, I want, like a very minimal garden or whatever. So we kind of maximalist planting.
Right. So not an astroturf garden.
No.
Like neighbours.
I do have a little bit of astroturf.
In your garden?
In my garden for the dogs. It is only for the dogs.
Right. What is that there where they do their business?
They lie on it. It's basically like an outdoor rug. So it's about 2 meters by 3 meters. It's literally a very small area.
Oh, okay. That's understandable.
So that's kind of allowable.
Yes. Did so when Joe Swift at your garden, did he come across your patch of astro?
He did. Yeah, he did.
Did he say anything about it?
He could kind of see the sense in it because actually Mum's got 2 cockapoos. I've got my 3 dogs. So she has a small piece and I have a small piece.
Fantastic.
And it's just like a kind of playpen, so they run around. They absolutely love it for lying on in the summer. And it just keeps it clean. Yeah, it doesn't know, it's fine. And it just kind of works. I'm a massive, I'm so against astroturf generally, but it's where you just see particularly new developments, they just do fence to fence astroturf and then a bit of paving that's porcelain. And I was like, oh my God, there's not a single plant. You know,
yes,
you can always smell the plastic when you go in the garden. So.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Exactly, smelling that fresh air. Oh no,
yeah. And you could go for gravels and things like that, but you know, dogs would just kick it all over the place. You'd be forever.
Oh, tell me about it. I've just spent this weekend raking gravel from one end of the terrace to the other because our dog just likes to make dust bowls, and it all gets pushed over to one side.
It's ridiculous.
It used to look great until she turned up at our house.
Even the birds do it. They make little dust baths.
Yeah, the birds.
Oh yeah, they do. Or chickens. Oh, even worse.
Chickens. Oh right, you haven't got chickens. So.
I used to. They're
messy,
really? Really messy. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They are, yeah.
They used to come in the kitchen and all sorts, so yeah.
Oh, but that's quite sweet.
That is really cute.
It was sweet, yeah.
I mentioned you're award-winning because you've won Garden Design of the Year.
Yeah.
And you also you had a garden at Chelsea a few years ago.
We did, 2018.
The David Harbour and Saville's Garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Which it's going to be very hard for me to explain. It would be far better coming from you. But when we looked at it, we were in awe of the planting. First of all, is right up our street. There's lots of sort of spires, which we really love, and quite cottage gardeny. Yeah, the foxgloves. But then the sculptures that were involved.
Really cool.
Can you describe the sculptures that you had in your garden?
There was the main kind of it was like a wormhole of kind of a passage through time, like I don't know, I'm not an astrophysicist, but some kind of wormhole in space. So the piece at the end was this amazing bronze, verdigris bronze kind of, I guess, blob with a solar flare in the middle of a gold leaf, I guess like a pointy star, but it was like almost like it appeared to kind of float in the middle of this kind of hole in the middle. And then
it almost looked like a dandelion head.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea was that the garden, from one point as you move kind of past the front of it, you would kind of have all these kind of juxtaposition screens that as you move to a certain point would suddenly line up into like a hole.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it did. And they were all these different layers of kind of court end screen that were kind of got more sophisticated the further down the garden they got. So at the one end it went from gravels to brick to like a porcelain. So it was to kind of show the transition in kind of development, and lots of as you move through life you get more experience as materials move through, they get more refined. So it was that kind of idea,
the evolution.
Yeah, exactly, evolution. And then but what I really wanted from the front point was to basically you to look over a sea of planting, and then you wouldn't see any of the paths at all. So it was kind of really kind of multi-dimensional, and it really kind of showcased my kind of love of plants. And again, that planting went from kind of, I guess, a bit more kind of free form near the front to more structured groups at the back. So every kind of bit was kind of getting more developed towards that kind of that final focal point, that start. And it was super fun.
Yeah. I can imagine. It was it's a fascinating design. So when you were designing that garden, did you already have in mind, you knew you wanted to have this focal point, you wanted to have this your eye being drawn towards it, or had you seen something similar to that before, or was this where did that come from?
We definitely, so me and David, he's just a force to be reckoned with. He's such a creative man, and he's so much fun. And so we actually went to their holiday house in Sicily and had like a brainstorming like 4 days, and it was like sketching and like ideas.
Oh, wow.
And
I mean, that's
so it was a really away from the kind of the humdrum of everyday life, and just to have a bit of creative time. And we basically came up with that thing together. He really loved the do you remember like the Channel 4 thing where it was all those kind of different things, and as it moved forward it all lined up
made
to that
the
perfect
form.
thing. But it was that moment in time, so he loved that kind of play on form, and obviously being a sculptor, he uses that in his sculptures. So he loved that idea, and then putting that within a garden. It was a really exciting and really fun process. The whole build was just amazing. We absolutely loved it.
Well, it started really well brainstorming in Sicily. I think that's a
yes.
really great place to start.
That's like the place to start.
Yeah, I think I would be very inspired. And how did the collaboration come about between you two?
So I had the previous 2 years I'd done their trade stand. So I designed and planted their trade stand at Chelsea, and that came about with a very tenuous link. My best friend in Cape Town, her cousin worked for David Harbour, and I knew of her, but she worked for David Harbour. And then we literally met at a show, and I was like, "Oh my god, Jess!" And she was like, "Nick," like that. And then it was like, "Oh, David and Sophie are looking for someone to design their garden. Are you interested?" So it was literally like that.
Wow.
So it's very, very tenuous, and then we got on so well. You know, it's they're just a lovely, lovely couple, and
yeah,
I think the first year we did the trade stand, David's wife particularly was kind of like, "Oh, what about this?" And I'm very laid back. I just like, "Yeah, it's all going to happen. Don't worry about it. You know, we've got it all in hand." Anyway, when it turned out, we won like the top award for that, and we got our 5 stars. And she was like, the next year was like an absolute doddle, because she's like, "Oh yeah, I know what you can do. It's fine."
Yes,
so,
yes,
it was those.
More.
Yeah, so we had our 3 years together as a thing, and it was just fantastic, and we're still very close now, which is lovely.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So prior to that, what is your background? How did you get into garden design in the first place?
So I've always done garden design. I've always done gardening. It's always been my kind of passion. And
even
my
as a little lad?
Yeah. So my grandmother was a very keen gardener. She had a kind of 1930s semi-detached house in South London in Cheam. And she had, I mean, I'd kind of almost shudder at it now, but she had like everywhere was successional bedding, you know, so it was like the red, white and blue, and then like a bed of like marigolds, and but it was kind of as a very young child, and she used to look after me and my brother. I'm a twin, so she used to look after us when my mum was at work, and we'd stay with her for a couple of days a week. And before we did anything, from a very early age, we would be hoeing in the garden. So it's like, actually, we can go to the park when we've done the hoeing, so we'd be hoeing around all these little plants. And my brother absolutely hated it, and I absolutely loved it. So
wow, polar opposites.
Yeah, so then I was lucky enough to grow up with 2 acres of garden at home, and my parents just kind of gave me free rein. So I started doing gardening and cutting things back, and then I built kind of streams, and I had these little areas in the garden where I'd build stuff, and that's really how it started. So even as a teenager, it was my kind of guilty pleasure. All my friends would be like, "Oh, what you do the weekend?" I'll be like, "I was like gardening and building something."
So this really is ingrained in you. This is
definitely
all
I've ever done. Well, that was the extraordinary thing, really, because so even through my A-levels, my art teacher said, "What really gets you passionate?" And I was like, "My garden." And he's like, "Okay, well, let's do the like impressionists, so Monet and Van Gogh and all these impressionists that were using their garden as inspiration." So that was a really lovely connection. And then I looked at degree courses for landscape architecture, which I just felt was too kind of impersonal, not plant focused enough. I love design, I loved architecture, so I thought, I could do architecture, and then I thought, oh god, that's a long time, and I don't think I've got the patience for that. So, and then garden design was really quite a new course at that point. I was only the second year intake into the.
That was a degree course.
A degree course,
fantastic.
At Writtle College, which was part of Essex University.
So only the second intake for garden design.
Second intake, and now I think almost a third of their college is garden design students of all different, garden design and garden history, or garden design and construction. There's so many different kind of pathways in the industry.
Yeah. So was that a 3-year degree?
3-year honours degree. Yeah.
Did it involve going out in the field, as it were, or working at any of the great gardens around UK?
Not really. No, not. There were other courses that would do a year in industry,
right? But
because I was working in a garden centre, I did a gardening round, like a garden maintenance round, and I was just passionate about plants and gardens. I was literally. I started my course, and I'd gone from my A-levels where it was just torturous. I hated them, and really kind of dragged myself through to being top of the class, and it was really a revelation that I could,
Amazing.
it just kind of came to me so easily.
That must have felt
and
so
with so
good,
much joy.
you already had a head start.
Yeah. So, I mean, you imagine, there was a whole range of, the wonderful thing about the course of the kind of 35 people on it, the age range was from like kind of 17 to 70.
Oh, really?
A lot of people go into it as a retrain.
Yeah.
And I went after my A-levels and a year out, so I was about 19 when I started. But my plant knowledge was really good, and other people were like, well, I don't know what's that is, that's green, I can't tell what it is. It's, so I did kind of start with a head start, which was great.
And so those were summer jobs that you were doing in the garden centre, and
summer jobs, and I funded my year out through working in the garden centre, which I loved because you had to know a bit about plants to advise customers, and you'd deal with kind of people would come in with a dead sprig and say, what's happened to this? You're like, no idea.
Just
normally either lack of water or overwater.
Too much water,
and chemicals, even kind of things what they did, and I was just more familiar with like kind of the trade names and the chemical names and pests and diseases. So it was a really good all round kind of basis for gardening in general, really.
So that's a great tip then if someone at school is thinking, well, I just know it's garden design, I know I want to go down this route, then get those summer jobs, garden maintenance jobs, working at a garden centre. I can imagine a garden centre, you're just constantly with plant labels.
Yes,
so you're getting to see all the time what they're called, and it just drums it into you at a time when you're
nowadays, most garden centres are kind of like, the plants are very much the secondary bit, or the third, fourth bit. It's like the coffee shop and the station.
It's a good point.
The wellies.
The wellies.
The
That's
cushion
so
covers.
true, isn't it? The food.
Yeah.
That is so true. But yeah, I can see that gives you a really good sort of basis to get things started. So after your 3-year degree, how quickly were you finding yourself employed, or was there a gap and a sort of worrisome time?
I literally went straight into a job. So I finished my course in June, and there was an advert on the job board for a kind of landscaper role for a garden designer in Surrey called Fiona Lawrenson, who I think at the time she had done several Chelsea gardens. She was one of the youngest kind of gold medalists at the show, and she was she is a fantastic plantswoman, and her planting is just amazing. Very kind of country style, relaxed, but with contemporary edges.
Right.
And so I applied for the job with her, and I had my interview and got the job and started in the end of the August.
So June, she only had a couple of months off. That's amazing.
I know, literally,
How fantastic.
So I was only actually there about 10 months.
Right.
Because I don't know, I just get there wasn't enough design within the role to kind of really utilize what I'd really wanted to do. There was great practical skills, but my first 2 weeks on the job were double digging. It was a baptism of fire physically.
Yes, of course. And so what happened after those 10 months?
So I started on my own. So I was 23, started my own business. Just as like a sole trader, I went back to my gardening clients. So I did like a garden maintenance round. And then I was kind of, you can't just go in and design gardens. So you have to kind of start slower. So I worked with a couple of landscapers that did garden design. So I became their garden designer on a freelance basis. And in fact, I did that through my last year of university as well. So I was designing for them because they had a contract with one of the house builders, like the high-end kind of executive homes, that when they exchanged contracts on their house, they got a free garden design. So I was the one literally churning out these designs for a couple of £100, which as a student, I'm like, oh, this is good beer money, it's
it's all right, isn't it?
So I got a basically a foot in the door there, and then was doing more of that design work. And then alongside my gardening, I then started doing some garden construction. Then I started employing people, and I was designing and building. And it just kind of, it really evolved really nicely. I love being outside. I love building stuff, and to design and build for other people and clients was fantastic. And I did that for probably a good 10 or 12 years, and then started basically just I guess, running the business rather than being in the business. So I was dipping in and out, focusing on the planting. I had a hard landscape team. So we were building, we were planting for other landscapers, and kind of doing the bit that no one else really wanted to do. There's many landscapers doing garden construction, but actually when it came to the plants, it's like, oh, I don't know what anything is. So we were kind of
it's like, oh, what's that?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's really how it started. And now we're mainly a design business and soft landscaping, but that's all we are doing, and maintenance. So
in the course of your first foray into work, so your summer jobs, right up to today, has there ever been a period in your career where you've thought, crikey, I don't know where the next project is coming from, or have you always had
all the time?
Really? Wow.
Yeah, all the time.
It's sort of peaks and troughs.
Amazing.
Then
we've been, I think, for the entire time of my working life, I think I'd been in, actually running my own business for like 3 months when 9/11 started. I mean, in the last 25 years, there have been so many enormous world events, crashes, and I mean, it's been, to say it's a roller coaster with a white knuckle ride. I mean, it's been
So I guess garden design, because it's more of a luxury, isn't it? I guess that's something
absolutely.
that when people are watching the pennies.
Definitely. No, we're in the luxury market, and it does definitely, it kind of tracks how people are feeling, kind of credit crunches, recessions, cost of living. I mean, they always put a name on it, and it does definitely have an effect. But do you
find that stressful, or do you take it all in your stride?
Strap in and keep going.
Okay.
It's I've never really known anything else, so I think the benefit of starting young, when I did have a new mortgage, but it's they're not quite as expensive as they are today. I had a mortgage, I did gardening, I kind of had 3 or 4 so I worked nights, I worked, I was working long hours, and just to get myself established, and you do just have to keep going. And the business has been we've been kind of sole trader, now we're a limited company, so it's been in different guises for different things, but we've basically been on one track all the way through. But it's not easy. I think the way I've operated the business, that's why we've kind of focused on the soft landscaping and the maintenance. So we've done maintenance all the way through, and we only do technical maintenance. So we don't do lawns and mowing and blowing and that kind of thing. It's literally kind of plant specialized.
Oh, okay.
So all plant work. So it's all plant work.
Yeah.
So the time when everyone goes, oh, we've had our summer in the garden, now we don't need to do anything till the spring. That's when we kick into action, and we're kind of replanting bits. We're like when the kind of the gardens are open to the National Garden Scheme or the National Trust, they do all their work literally October through till March, and that's how we operate the business. Bulb planting, mulching, cutting back. It's really quite a labour intensive period for us.
That's a good arm to have in your business, isn't it? So there's always that.
It's been an amazing filler, because I found the most tricky time was when I was working on site and I was designing a project, and then you're like, oh yeah, they want to build it. So you're then designing it, you're now building it, and you're like in it for like 3 months or 4 months. And then you're coming to the last few weeks and you're like, oh my God, this has been my whole life and I've got nothing to go to. So then you'd fall back on a bit of maintenance, and then something else would come out the bag. So now I spend more time working on it.
That's a good setup that you've got there. So do you have any more plans for show gardens, such as, for example, Chelsea or any of those big events?
I don't think so.
Where's the time?
There's so much form filling now. Without sounding really old, it's like back in the day. It's like, oh, I'm going to do a garden at Chelsea. Oh yeah, well, that's your idea. Great, let's do it. And it was much more kind of free form. You didn't have to wear high vis. You didn't have to wear steel cap.
Yes.
I mean, it was so like the old days,
Oh my gosh, and, all of that.
Yeah, so now it's just such a long process. It's like, a year, maybe sometimes more. You start kind of planning in kind of August before the show. And it's the money, it's a lot of money. And now sponsorship is difficult to get. It's, I don't get me wrong, I love the shows for the camaraderie, the teamwork, the people, being surrounded by other people geeking out on plants and gardens is just so wonderful. But it's stressful. And I've always been, super calm and really enjoyed the process. So I think there's some people that they are lifetime kind of show people. They just do show after show after show, and that's kind of their job. They get good sponsorship, they earn good money on that sponsorship, and then that's basically their day job.
Right.
Wow.
Whereas my day job is everyday clients.
You've got other stuff going on. You actually echo almost word for word what Tom Hoblin said. The guy
really?
Tom Hoblin, he was on a Chit-Chat last year or the year before. He said exactly the same. All those things about the form filling, the finding sponsors, all of that. So it's interesting. I wonder how many other designers are feeling like that, and therefore are, stepping back a bit from it. I wonder if Chelsea are going to have to regroup. I
think the medal system is weird and not transparent.
How do you mean?
It'd be like running a race. It's first, second, third, fourth. Gold, silver, bronze, whatever.
Wood.
You can't have. So you can't have. Each garden is judged on its brief. If you don't know how to write a brief that you're going to be judged on, and you're just doing it for a garden's sake, and you can justify it, that's just not good enough. So you're kind of marked against yourself, and you're doing this brief back in December. Right. And then you have a chance to kind of amend it. But actually, you don't really know whether you're kind of hanging yourself out to dry by being too detailed or not detailed enough.
So you don't get any guidance on that front?
Not really. I mean, they do kind of workshops and, things like that on how to do it. But it's just very unclear. And what I really like with the RHS, they do, within the show, they have, best construction.
Yes.
There's best of. And that's much clearer. It's like, actually, that was amazing. That's amazing. But you're like, oh, that's gold. That's gold. That's gold. It's like, well, why did that get? There's just you can't. It sometimes feels like you're judging apples and pineapples. It's There's no, and then they had a budget of 200,000. They had a budget of nearly $1 million. It's very, very
not comparing like for like.
It's not. It really isn't. And I think. What I love about the shows is the whole build up, the Sunday when it's almost finished, and then the Monday press day is just absolutely joyous. Everyone's on a completely level playing field.
I bet you're riding high as well, aren't you?
Really, and you're exhausted and you're emotional, and it's
totally on adrenaline.
And then on the Tuesday morning you get a medal, and obviously everyone wants gold. It's been the most elusive thing in my whole career,
right?
And never got it, and you just think, and then it's like you feel, I don't know, it's almost just you don't like what you've done because it didn't do what you wanted it to do.
Yeah. It's your baby and you should love it.
It's interesting you say that because I was showing Sweet Pea your David Harbour and Savile's garden, and it says there that you got a bronze, I think, didn't you?
Yeah.
For it? And Sweet Pea said, oh my God, what do you have to do to get a gold? Because this is just so incredible.
That was, the bronze. It was like the most unfair medal, and so many other very respected designers and people in the RHS. I mean, that garden was the RHS used it as their publicity thing it was on the TV for several years after, it was on their calendars, it was on it was on publications all over the world on front covers. It just had such an amazing memorable. And David and I also text now, and we're like, the garden that keeps on giving, but it didn't give at the time.
Do you get any feedback? So does anyone say, well, you fell short because of X, Y, and Z?
It was so subjective. I think it was one of those things where you have a sponsor who's also come from a trade stand background. So the comment was it's a bit like just a big sales garden for sculpture. And I guess you could say, that was, I don't know. It's so subjective. It's so subjective.
You never know.
And also when the general public are there, they're like, literally I stood on the front of the garden for the whole week of the show, and people are like, I don't get it. This is my favourite garden by far.
Yeah.
And why did it get that? And I'm like, I don't know.
Amazing. Who knows? It reminds me a bit when with social media, or if you're trying to sort of promote things on social media, there's the algorithm, and it feels like you've got to find the algorithm and figure the algorithm out to get your gold. And sometimes it can be so elusive, even when you're doing everything right. Still, it's just not getting there. So
it's like that toxic relationship. You just don't know what they want this time.
Oh, that toxic relationship, Nick.
That toxic relationship.
What have I done wrong? Anyway, well, so on that note, I think we should have a look at your dream garden. No toxic relationships here.
And how you design that.
And can't wait to hear this. So I'll hand you over to Sweet Pea.
So, Nick, for your dream garden, what will be the garden boundary?
So, dream garden. So this is always that. So it would have to be rural, and my dream garden boundary would be estate fencing, looking onto meadow or some kind of natural hedging or something, or woodland, but a very kind of invisible boundary. Or a Victorian garden wall, which I've got now in a smaller garden.
Oh, wait, so that's completely different.
Well,
so
we could do half.
Yeah.
I think my dream is a country estate.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yes.
Could you perhaps have the sort of blended boundary that just disappears into your surroundings, and then maybe your vegetable garden is with the Victorian wall around? Would that cover bases for you?
That would tick both boxes, definitely.
Great stuff. Great.
Perfect. Estate.
Where in the country is your dream garden? Is it right where you? Where are you? You're in Sussex?
I'm in Surrey, just south of kind of Reigate area, which I love. I would love to move a bit further out. My partner lives down in West Sussex in Amberley, and I just love it down there. That kind of West Sussex rolling downs. I mean, beautiful. Yeah.
So is your partner is in a more rural surroundings?
Actually kind of more. He's in the centre of the village, so literally So he's much more kind of urban than I am. I've got my mum is my neighbour, and that's it.
And 5 dogs.
But so. A village situation is lovely, but I do love being kind of on my own in the country. So
okay. Yeah. So you would be out that way then, West Sussex?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely. Are you having any particular view out the back? Are you wanting to be? So you're wanting rolling hills? You said.
I'd love a bit of a view.
Meadows.
Yeah, rolling hills or a bit of woodland or
Yeah.
This is sounding expensive, isn't it?
But we throw all of that out the window, Nick.
Everything at it.
And how big is your estate garden going to be?
2 acres would be lovely.
2 acres.
Nice. 2 acres.
Okay. I like that.
Not too big. I don't want 10s of acres.
You don't want the stress of it.
No,
just
exactly.
You've got to look after this and this.
Yeah.
And also we have clients with big house, and actually there's always someone there, someone mowing or blowing or, fixing something. So I think a nice size that actually you can enjoy it yourself without needing staff.
So you would prefer just to be your own space, no one else wandering around. So that's a good point, because when we talk about our dream gardens, I'm always thinking maximum space. And then I'm thinking, but then because I'll have staff to deal with it, but I'd like invisible
You
staff.
don't want staff, yeah.
I don't want staff, yeah.
Don't want
or work quietly at night when you're asleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, precisely. Well then, would you like a shed or a greenhouse?
Definitely a greenhouse.
Okay, what are we going with? The look, style, colour?
Probably an Alitex.
Yes.
Either a dark kind of bronzy colour. I've done a couple of those for clients, or like a nice kind of sludgy green or something like that.
Okay.
Again, depending on the setting.
This bronze colour interests me. So the shine of a bronze, or just that kind of orangey?
No. It's more kind of dark brown with a bit of sparkle.
Okay, so it does sparkle.
So kind of looks a little bit like a brown car, for example, with a bit of like
You're not selling
pearlescent paint. No, I'm not.
You're really
not
like a brown car.
Shiny car.
No one's ever said that.
This is going to be the quote for Nic Howard,
I'm going to say, I'm going to say,
like a brown car.
The reason it would be a greenhouse over a shed is I hate spiders. So sheds are just like spider fest. So
oh my gosh,
not for me. Yeah,
that's a bit of an occupational hazard, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't mind them in the garden, as long as I don't like kind of September time when you get the big old fat garden spiders and they're just kind of spread across and you end up with them, across your face and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I get them in my bedroom.
I have backflipped out of flower bed more times than you can.
I could so picture that. Oh, that's hilarious.
Where does the fear of spiders come from?
My mother, actually, she would deny it. She'd say she was super cool and collected when there was a spider in the house, but she absolutely was not.
Right, okay.
Interesting.
So, sorry, just back to the Alitech greenhouse, do they provide this colour paint or this colour frame?
They do. Yeah,
already?
They do. It's a standard. Yeah.
What's it called?
Yeah.
Bronze?
Bronze,
or
yeah.
brown
Bronze
bronze
manganese or something like that is the colour, I think.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lovely, lovely colour.
Do you have that in your garden currently?
No, I have no room for a greenhouse.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
I know. It is
So
very
in
sad.
your 2-acre plot, how big is this greenhouse going to be?
And what form?
I think it would be, I love the ones that are kind of either against a wall, so you've got like a Victorian wall and you have a kind of lean-to type, or like a T shape, so you have that kind of lobby way, and then you have a lovely kind of
wings.
wide, wings, exactly, and then with that Victorian grill in the middle, so it's just really kind of timeless and just takes you away from every day.
So you want a traditional look rather than more contemporary. Are you
Definitely.
having cold frames outside the greenhouse?
I'm not a big fan of cold frames, actually. I'm not too fussed about cold frames. I just, when I did have a greenhouse in the house I grew up in, actually the cold frames never got used.
Interesting.
So why is that? Because for us, it would be a dream to have cold frames. But I'm interested to hear the
because I'm actually
against.
really not much of a seed grower, so actually I probably wouldn't even use a greenhouse for that.
Okay, so now I'm understanding. So is this more a sociable space, your greenhouse?
Yeah,
or
or doing cuttings, or having like I don't know, some just almost like permanent planting within a greenhouse. So it's just a different growing environment, a bit like the hot houses you get at like orchids or cacti or something like that.
Yes. Okay, I see.
I mean, it's going a bit down. When you said social space, I immediately thought of Ashley Edwards with his fantastic kind of party.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be a party greenhouse.
It was plants by day, rave by night, I think.
Rave by night, yes, exactly, which is fantastic, and it's the new thing for me.
A lot of lighting displays and disco balls and things, but not that. So you don't want any partying in your greenhouse.
No, I think I quite like the solitude. I funny enough, when I was the older I've got, the realise I'm actually quite introverted. I always thought I've had a whole personality profiling, and I'm actually an introvert with a preference for extroversion. So I just thought I was quite extroverted, but actually I love solitude, silence in my garden. And I realised that extroverted people can't do that, not for very long anyway. Whereas I could do it for days and days.
You're very content in your own company.
Very much so.
Now, what would be your 5 favourite ornamentals for the garden?
Oh, it's going to be tricky for you, Nick, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is literally the hardest question. I'm a massive perennial fan, so they are my kind of plants of choice.
I approve.
I guess I'm gonna do families of plants, because there is probably certainly 2 families. The hardy geraniums are just the most fantastic plants.
Yeah,
so diverse.
Gorgeous.
You know, dry shade, shady, full sun. I mean, they kind of just cover all bases.
They're so low maintenance, aren't they?
Easy, and they literally will take an absolute batter. You know, you can kind of mow over them and chop them back any time, and
rip them out.
They're super easy.
And they flower for a long time, don't they?
A long time.
Yeah. So you say you're going for a family, which I think we'll allow, won't we, Sweet Pea? But if you had to choose one hardy geranium, what's your go-to?
Probably Orion. Is a
Orion
blue.
What's Orion
so it's either Orion or Eureka Blue. They are like Johnson's Blue, Brookside kind of geranium. They have good autumn colour. They're just so floriferous and kind of high impact. I do love geranium Roseanne and Azure Rush, but they're both sterile. So I always think they're not great environmentally for bees and things like that, but they're great doers.
So how does the flower on an Orion compare to, say, the Roseanne?
Very similar.
Okay, but
Roseanne will flower. Roseanne will flower later and flower for much longer, whereas Orion will do its main kind of May, June to end of June kind of flush, and then you might do a Hampton Hack on it, and then you'll get foliage and the odd flower for the rest of the season. And that's where Roseanne's really useful, because if you want that kind of that blue flower, kind of saucer shaped flower, that's when Roseanne takes over and takes you into the end of part, the latter part of the year. And then we do a late season chop on those as well, which keeps them going until, I mean, literally we've had Roseanne flowering in December.
Really?
For our clients' gardens. So we're quite brutal with our maintenance round. We're quite brutal on our cutting back. So we do kind of Hampton Hack, Chelsea chop, all that kind of thing. And things like Salvia caradonna, that would have to be on my list as well. That's one of my favorites. Yes. We've done so many experiments on the cutting back, and we've done the kind of halfway, but actually they're far more successful to just literally chop it to the ground. Give it a good water, and literally within 5 weeks you'll have a whole new flush of foliage and flowers.
So what time of year are you doing that on this?
We'd probably do that in probably early July. So we normally do it for clients.
All your salvias?
Yeah, it depends. It depends how our clients are kind of. So if they're going on holiday for like the whole of August, we will cut it down late July. And then by the time they get back in, it's kind of early September, they're nice and green and just coming into flower again.
Oh, lovely.
So we try and time it when clients are kind of going away, and so they don't have that kind of, because it's quite brutal. Your garden's looking amazing and you go in and chop everything down.
Yeah.
You've waited all year for it to flower. So
it's like, what?
It is scary. It is scary.
Yeah.
But it does work.
Yeah.
You mentioned Hampton Hack and Chelsea chop.
Yes, I was going to say that.
What's were you?
Well, Chelsea chop is basically around the end of May when the Chelsea flower show is on. So we used to, in my early days of my career, I used to do planting for Chelsea and Hampton Court, and we used to go literally from one to the other, maybe do Gardeners World Live in between. And we would have plants that came out of Chelsea. We would literally do a Chelsea chop, and we would use those same plants at the Hampton Court flower show.
Oh, cool!
And
that's good.
Yeah, so there would be you'd have flowers in Chelsea with kind of that kind of May, June, and then you might use it for foliage in July for Hampton Court. So so that period of time, so from end of May to the beginning of July, is you've got a plant that's suddenly looking good again. So they're both show garden worthy, and it's been in 2 shows, 6 weeks apart.
I see.
Cool. So,
oh, interesting. That's a good tip. So did you coin the phrase Hampton Hack, or is that...
No, it's a well-known...
Okay.
Yeah, Chelsea chop and Hampton Hack, yeah.
Okay.
And we use it for clients on our maintenance guides and things like that because it's very memorable.
Yeah,
we try and demystify all kind of gardening because people are terrified of it. So if you just make it like, chop it down, what's the worst that can happen is, it will bounce back.
Yeah.
So try and give clients confidence with their plants.
Absolutely.
Another plant group that I absolutely adore and use a lot of is the Euphorbia family.
Euphorbias.
Yeah, Euphorbias, just amazing.
Lovely.
I'm looking out the window at one now, and it's my Euphorbia cross pasteuri John Phillips, and it's beautiful giant Euphorbia. It's my one's probably 2 meters tall, like huge big bush.
Beautiful.
It's big flowers that are kind of like a lovely lime green, but not dense like the Wolfenii, but the whole courtyard smells of honey. It's absolutely glorious.
Beautiful. Well, interestingly, that was just on Gardener's World. Jamie Butterworth was showing Euphorbias at Beth Chatto's garden.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I realised the breadth of Euphorbias that you can get.
Huge.
I mean, I knew the sort of your bog standards, but even down to these succulent cactus-looking Euphorbias, I had no idea they're part of the same family. They couldn't look more different. And that one was mentioned, I think, the honey smelling one, wasn't it? Sweet pea.
Well, there's so there's Euphorbia mellifera, which is also honey scented. Which is a slightly more orangey colour. Yeah, so mine's cross pasteuri.
Yeah.
But so you talk about the cactus one. So I did a walking holiday in Tenerife.
Ooh.
And you kind of imagine Tenerife as a kind of party island, but the north of the island and that northeast corner, oh my God, it is the most spectacular landscape. And these huge grey cacti are Euphorbias.
Right.
And it was absolutely amazing.
So I haven't seen the cactus ones up close in the flesh.
Yeah.
When you look, and we were talking about them just on our last recap.
Yeah, we were.
And I was saying, I wouldn't have a clue if I saw one. I wouldn't know if that was that wasn't a cactus. When you see it, so when you look at because they like those sort of columnar cacti, aren't they?
They're kind of four. They're kind of like a four-way kind of. Yeah, they do not look like a Euphorbia at all. I did not know they were Euphorbia.
Okay. So when you saw it, did you just think that's a cactus, and then
I took a photo of it, and then my good old phone told me what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So even you, as a garden designer, you couldn't really decipher that from a cactus.
No.
Well,
no.
that's
and
really
that's the
good
joy
and reassuring to hear.
the joy of travel actually is the fact you see plants that you don't recognize. So I feel like a bit like a novice, like everyone else. It's like, oh my God, what's that? You know. So that's exciting.
Do you do much traveling specifically to, plant hunting, I guess, is it?
Plant finding.
I don't plant hunt. I go to Cape Town every year, which is just the most amazing botanically, around Table Mountain. It's one of the most diverse places in the world.
Really?
Such a small area. And you get the amazing wildflowers there and on the mountain. It's just so literally you can turn a corner and it's like these tiny little microclimates. So it's really fantastic. But yeah, I think whenever we go, we're just going on next week actually, a holiday to we're walking the Amalfi Coast. So we're up in the mountains doing God's Pathway and all of that.
Gorgeous.
And I know most of my photos will either be the view and the sea or down on the ground on a flower.
Yeah.
One or the other.
But what other photos are there? They sound like the best photos to me.
Of yourself.
I know.
Oh yes, there's that. Selfies.
Selfie. Looking good. Very cool. Well, what are your two others? Because I put Salvia caridona as your second one.
It got to be a grass called Hacknacloa macra.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just, oh my God, I've only been using it probably the last 10 years, and oh my God, it's just fantastic. I feel, kind of to the point now where it's like, oh, what you put there? Oh, Hacknacloa. You feel like you're really boring, but it's just fantastic. Really fantastic.
What is it you like about it?
It is very neat and tidy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good linkage plant in the fact that it kind of softens corners. It will grow in sun if it's moist enough, and it will grow into shade as well. So kind of woodland. It adds that lovely texture to a woodland garden.
Cool.
And it's just, and then it's autumn colour and it's winter interest. So it's called the Japanese forest grass. So it's got that lovely kind of pendulous, I guess almost like a bamboo, kind of little mini bamboo. And then for the winter, once all the kind of debris is kind of blown away, all the fronds just basically, or leaves, what they are, sounding very non-technical now, they all stand up. So for the winter, and I'm windy here, and you just get them on all the corners, just kind of rustling around and moving.
Oh,
that's lovely.
Yeah, they're fabulous. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, what will be your final ornamental plant?
I think it's got to be ferns, actually. They are much misunderstood, and they're a really great kind of filler, unifier, texture. So I love shady gardens. I love woodland gardens. My courtyard is north facing on the wall, and it's just a lovely kind of cool environment. And the ferns are just glorious. I've got one. It's the sensitive fern, and it gets a ray of sunlight on it. It literally frazzles under it. It's like a vampire.
Oh no!
But it's so beautiful, but it doesn't get any sun. So I tried somewhere else, and actually it just frazzled. So this one in my garden actually is amazing.
Very cool.
But yeah, the Dryopteris, the Polystichum. I mean, they're just an amazing group of plants.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the ferns.
What would then be your 5 edible plants?
So these are different or difficult because actually I'm not a veg grower at all. I don't really grow edibles, but I do love my herbs. So if they count as edibles, then my herbs. But to be honest, I have to keep replanting because I never water them, or they're at dog height, and then I'm like, oh God, if they've been peed on, so then I don't.
Oh no, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
No.
So your herbs in pots at home?
I don't really have many. My ones that I definitely have are rosemary. I do have a tub of mint, and I have some oregano, and they're literally the 3.
And those are in the ground.
The rosemary's I've got that one in the ground and one in a pot. So I've got the trailing one in the pot, which is amazing, and that flowers really early spring as well.
Yes,
it's lovely.
They do, don't they? We have some sprawling rosemary.
Yeah, the prostrate.
Prostratus.
Rosemary. Yeah, prostratus.
Yeah.
And on Garden as well, I saw Monty put it at the base of bay trees in pots, and I thought that just looked so pretty. It gave a sort of a softer vibe to an otherwise quite sort of formal looking plant.
Yeah.
But we planted them really because when we planted up our garden, we just looked at the website and said, that looks nice. There was no rhyme or reason other than just that looks good on the website. And so it was trial and error which plants could handle our hill. And those rosemaries have been incredible.
Amazing.
And like you say, they flower very early on. So they're sort of one of the first flushes of colour that we get in the garden.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they're gorgeous. And we do nothing. We just leave it. It sprawls. It looks gorgeous. It's like a mass of sprawling and colour.
Thrives on neglect. Thrives on neglect, which is brilliant.
Perfect plant. Yeah. So you have that in a pot. Do you use that much in your designs then, using
yeah, we do use that a lot. They do. You've got to be careful with the winters. Sometimes, until they're really established, they can. The first couple of years are always a bit kind of touch and go, but they
frost. Right.
Frost and just the cold and wet really is the thing that does it. If you've got heavy soil, but if they're elevated and they're in a raised bed or something like that, and they're normally pretty fail safe.
Are you finding your planting is having to change quite a bit now with the change in climate that we are experiencing? You're going down more the Mediterranean route?
Yes, but then you've got the added technicality of lots of drainage needed. So the winters, the wet winters are, I would say, more challenging than the dry summers. Yeah. So, for example, that a couple of years ago, when we had our 40-degree summer, which was like a week of like 40 degrees. So we had, literally everything just got sunburned. I had like geranium roseanne with like kind of brown, literally sunburn. Really? Astrantias. We literally chopped everything down. So that was early July, end of June, early July. We chopped everything down. We then opened our garden again in September, and people were coming and going, "Oh my God, your garden looks so fresh. Mine is frazzled." And it just goes to show we chopped it all down.
Just chop it,
and it just bounces back. Yeah, it bounces back. Oh. So a brown leaf is never going to turn green again. So you get rid of it.
Get rid of it. So then, how do you deal with the wet winters in terms of your planting?
We improve the soil, so mulch and grit. Try and do borders where we have volume on the soil, so kind of Victorian style, where they used to do their kind of bedding schemes on a kind of raised. So we try and do that. So a lot of landscapers and kind of people, I guess, building gardens do the paving, and then it's like a slight drop down, and then the bed is completely flat. We do kind of paving, and then we have a drop down, and then it kind of domes up, so it's got that real fullness even without any plants in it. And that really helps. That can make a massive difference to just keeping those roots out of the kind of the wettest soil. Yeah, and you find that with new developments, particularly if we do any design work, any planting that's been done by the developers themselves, it's been put on kind of non-compacted topsoil, which all settles, and then you end up with the planting areas being in a big dish. So as soon as it rains, it all just fills up with water.
Worst thing.
Yeah, it's all about we try and we've worked with landscapers, for years and years and years, and when you start working, they're like, oh, we're going to do we talk about bed preparation and things like that. They're like, oh, we're just going to dig out all that horrible clay and put in nice brand new screen topsoil. It's like, no, we're not. It's like we are going to work with the soil that's there. So even if it's heavy clay, we will basically dig through it. We'll add in lots of organic matter, lots of grit, and then often we will just leave it like mulched for the time. That if it's a 6-month build, for example, we'll just leave the beds mulched, deeply mulched, and then we'll go on them again and we'll dig them over and rotivate. And it's amazing how the worms have done half the work. We kind of when we've actually done gardens, we actually advocate a no dig gardening method. So people are like, oh, I can't dig anymore, my back's killing me. It's like, you never dig your borders unless you're putting in a new plant. You never dig over your borders, because your soil is like a world under there with little burrows and ants and all sorts of things. So you just let them do the work. And it's amazing on a heavy clay soil, if you just feed it from the top, let all the work, try and keep your leaves on the beds when in the autumn, let them mold down naturally. And it's amazing how that really cuts down the maintenance.
When you did your garden design, your degree, what was the emphasis back then on in terms of no dig versus dig? Was it because it feels like the old school way is dig, sort of simplifying it seems old school is dig, new school is no dig.
It was kind of about bed preparation, and then actually not really much detail on I think with any course, whether it be a year's course or a degree, it's like you just literally dipping into various things. So we learned about soil science and really the importance of it becoming a natural kind of environment that's like a whole habitat on its own. It wasn't like, this is the way we're going to do it. It's like, it would be like, oh, it's your preference. And we find with clients, and if they've got kind of gardeners or resident gardeners, they just love digging. So you go there and they've like dug over the rose bed, or they've dug over this area, and you're like, oh my God. And then it's like a proliferation of annual seedlings. It's like, stop. But it's really because they've got nothing else to do. So they're trying to find work.
Yes, I do know what you mean.
One question I did want to ask you was, have you got a favourite garden that you've designed?
Oh, good
that I've designed?
Sweetie.
Yeah. and done and created and put together?
I think it's got to be the one in West Sussex, because it's kind of my kind of dream house as well. It's a lovely modest stone farmhouse. It's got a party barn, got an annex, it's got a pond, it's got a willow tree, and it's just kind of on its own, and it's kind of idyllic. So
right, yeah,
that would be my favourite project.
If we had a bit of a schmooze through your website, would we find any details on that one?
It's actually only went up on Instagram this morning, so that is the one that you'll see.
We shall check that out.
Yeah.
Okey-dokey. Fantastic. Well, we have 2 more edibles that you need to choose, because I've got rosemary, mint, and oregano. Have you got any 2 others?
It'd be the fruits. So a good Cox's apple and a Victoria plum tree.
Yes, lovely.
I love a plum tree. That takes me back to my grandmother. She just used to make plum jam, plum crumble, plum everything. And they would just, I remember I was probably small, but they were massive, and when they just, when plums just kind of, you can almost just pull them apart. And there's just something about a Victoria plum I absolutely love. But a good apple tree. So something like a Cox's apple, which has got a bit of a red flushing, that kind of.
And is that because you like the look of an apple tree, or just because you love the taste of apples?
Apple trees are beautiful. So if a client has got an apple tree, so we're doing a garden we've just started a couple of weeks ago, and they've got this huge apple tree. And it's just it's just a feature you just can't put in as a designer. It's there, and it's old, and it's atmospheric, and
it's a classic shape as well. A
classic shape, kind of knobbly, and a great blossom, and so I think they're a really lovely tree. And they offer a lot to the garden, wildlife wise and everything. So
brilliant.
Hornet wise,
yes,
gosh, ours attracts the hornets.
Yes, I have a lot of hornets here as well. They tap on the window at night when you're sitting watching TV.
That's not what you want to hear, is it?
They're like, I'm gonna get you. Well, talking about trees, what would be your one statement tree, the showpiece of your garden?
So that changes actually, but in the last few years, Heptacodium mycinoides, or mycinoides, however you say it, it's kind of like it used to be really unusual, and it's a tree I planted for years, probably literally my whole career. I plant quite a few per year. And it's really kind of gained traction. A lot of designers are using it now. It's very resilient. It's got wonderful peeling bark, but linear kind of stripes in a very kind of pale fawny colour, I guess. The wrens use it in their nests. I found quite a few wren nests around the house that is using the Heptacodium bark. Flowers late, so August, September. So when we do our September opening, it's in full bloom. And it's kind of, how to describe the flowers, they're kind of like white, open panicled lilac flowers, so quite upright and plume-like, but very open and white. And then when the white kind of petals drop off, you've kind of got these red bracts, which kind of make the spent flower heads kind of have an interest as well.
Right. And
then the leaves themselves, they kind of hang like bananas. So that it's one of those trees where clients phone me like, "Oh, I'm not sure that tree's very happy. It looks very wilty." And it's like, no, that's what it's meant to do. But it, I guess if you don't know your trees and something's got a leaf that's like horizontal, and then suddenly a leaf hangs, you might think it's suffering. But I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. It's a great tree.
I just had to Google it.
So did I.
I have heard of it, but I wouldn't have been able to pick it out of a lineup. And it looks like quite a small tree, or can it get pretty big?
Yeah, it's a small tree, so probably maximum 5 to 6 meters, something like that.
Okay.
So great tree for a smaller garden.
And does it have like a silver birch kind of bark to it? It looks very light, the picture I'm looking at.
It's very, so it's very pale, but definitely more kind of like a Hessian kind of colour.
Right, okay.
And it's got these very kind of ribbony, kind of linear, flaky bits. Yeah. Kind of almost like a cat has been scratching on it. That's really selling it again, isn't it?
Very.
You have such
brown cars and cat scratches. We're going for one today.
But it's very pretty. Those little white flowers. Does it have a scent at all?
It has a slight scent, but the bees, in fact, all the flying, kind of the fake bees and the bee bees and the hornets, they're all on it. I mean, literally, they're all on it. It's literally like the bee disco. I mean, anything kind of flying, it's on it.
Well, would you then like a pond or a pool, and what plant would you have in that area?
I would definitely have a pond over a pool.
Okay. You don't like to swim?
I love to swim. I absolutely love to swim. But I think here, I swim on holiday, and I mean, literally my holiday destinations are dictated by the swimming.
Yes.
But I think in this country, I think, pools are really expensive to run. You can swim in a pond, not that it overly appeals to me, but I think there's something about a pond that is kind of so restful and cooling, and I love that. Like in the dew ponds you get in the countryside, where they're like ancient kind of dipping ponds in the fields, and that lovely kind of clean disc of water. We did a walk on the South Downs over the Easter weekend, and the National Trust had put all these posts up around these dew ponds, and apparently they look like just a body of water with grass kind of going into them. But they are so diverse, and they said, it may not look much from the surface, but actually underneath there's like, frogs and toads and crested newts and this and that, and and then it brings all those other things. So this one disc of water is just doing so much for a fairly kind of open and exposed landscape. But I love water and I love ponds, and I think like a willow tree overhanging a pond. I mean, that's just kind of idyllic.
Oh, beautiful image, isn't it?
Yeah.
What sort of size would you be going with?
Also, so that would need to be quite big. So that would probably need to be maybe 10 to 20 meters across, like a diameter.
Good.
So a really nice
That's what I like
mini
to
lake.
hear.
A mini lake.
Yeah, a mini lake. I mean, you can have a lake if you'd like. Would you like?
Yeah, you can.
No, I think a lake's too big, and also you get too big, the fish are too big, and then the water's just muddy. So actually, I like a nice clear pond, so you can kind of see. One of my growing up, we did have a pond at home, and actually we had like a rockery edge, and it was quite a big pond, but you used to kind of be on the edge, and you just look into this kind of world of like little things just kind of skating through the water, and you could literally see the bottom, and then you see the pondweed, and I mean literally endlessly fascinating. Whereas
so
you see those kind of lakes or ponds where they're just like muddy water and you literally can't see anything. So that is not
muddy water's no good.
I understand. And is your plant of choice going to be the willow tree overhanging it?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Cool.
That would be a good one.
Nice choice. And just one more question about your pond. So do you know, so you're wanting a natural one in the ground, you're not wanting a raised one with a, cord and steel outline?
No.
Proper, like as nature intended?
Yeah, nature, low maintenance. I mean, anything that's kind of built and constructed with pumps and everything, I mean, they're just, they're expensive to put in and they're high maintenance. So I think, keep it simple,
I think though, if you've got, if you get the planting right as well, it's more low maintenance. If you've got enough oxygenators, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oxygenators, and I mean, I love a gunnerer. Actually, a gunnerer is that might actually top the willow tree. A gunnerer is pretty impressive. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put a gunnerer instead of willow tree.
I could have a willow tree with gunnerer underneath, so that would kind of tick both boxes.
Well, I mean, that's two plants. What you're saying?
That's two plants, but I'll put willow tree as a special.
That would be my problem.
But yeah, Sweet Pea, you're doing a special mention.
Special mention to a willow tree, and I'll put gunner as the main plant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, gunner is an interesting one because obviously it's now on the hit list, isn't it, for plants you shouldn't
plant?
It
has been for some time.
When you've been working in gardens, do you have many that do already have gunnerers established? What's the general word on the street around gunnerers with you garden designer types?
So that was actually, I only really realised that a couple of years ago with the gunnerer, and I think it's more because it's quite invasive, like in the West Country and things like that.
Okay.
So I think that's the reason it's on the kind of hit list. But then saying that, I do love Japanese knotweed. If you go to like Wakehurst, they've got a stand of Japanese knotweed. I know but it's a really beautiful, impressive plant. And I remember my last house, I had a few little sprigs in the front garden, and I was like, oh my god, I've got knotweed. Anyway, I got rid of all of it, but there was one little clump that stayed in the corner. And I kept it for my entire time that I was there. And it used to grow up like this, literally like this needle that would like this sword that would come out of the ground. And then I would chop it, and then it would branch, and then it would flower, and it was amazing. Anyway, when I moved, I thought nothing of it. And then the woman that bought my house phoned me the following spring and was like, Nick, oh my God, you never disclosed you had knotweed. And I went, it's literally up at the top by the gate. And it was one bit. Anyway, she got like this pest control company out to spend a fortune. And I was like, it's one bit. It's been there for like 12 years and never been a problem.
Gosh, that's so interesting. I've never heard that approach taken to knotweed. It's always been a case of burn.
Well, often when you see it, it's been allowed to go run amok over a huge area, and then it's terrible.
Did you use any kind of herbicide on it? Anything?
No, I when it was in the kind of wider garden, it was only a fairly small clump that was in grass basically, so it was basically being mown. So actually, that was a kind of. But I think it's a misunderstanding. I mean, there are obviously plants like the giant balsam that is like now all over our waterways, all over the UK. There's the giant hogweed. I mean, that is literally the most beautiful plant you've ever seen. It's gigantic, it's like 3 meters, this huge umbellifer. I saw the other day actually on social media, this woman she had like a waterside garden, like a stream or something running through the garden. She had this plant that looked like a xenophyllum or a cow parsley, or it looked like a celery or a carrot, that kind of thing. And apparently it was the most poisonous plant known to man. Was it hemlock? Was it something like
water
that?
Hemlock or something like that.
Water hemlock, that's
down
it.
Next to it.
That's right,
Her father-in-law had come over and seen it and said, are you aware? One bite and that's it, you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh my God, I might have planted that in a client's garden and not know.
Oh, Nick.
No, I haven't.
Okay,
yes, quick disclaimer.
But it was so beautiful.
Yeah, it was. It did look like kind of parsley or sort of almost like a parsnip.
It was like celery, so definitely that kind of root celery. Vegetable kind of look,
Yeah, it's very nice. But with the Japanese knotweed, I did see someone talking about how it's edible and it's actually very tasty when it sort of looks like an asparagus spear when you get that stage of it. Did you try any of it?
No, I've never done. But do you know the other plant that they used to eat like that was the hosta? So,
the hosta?
Yeah, the hosta.
Oh, really?
Which, interestingly, the name the hostas used to be called was funkier, which is a much better name, isn't it? It used to be called funkier. So
why is it not called that?
Yes, some taxonomists decided it was much better called hosta. So
what a shame.
Boring.
But the when those hosta leaves come up as like the points, they used to cut them off and then you cook them like asparagus.
Oh right.
Of which I've never done because I do love my hostas. So
Don't eat those.
Don't do that.
It's interesting though about all those invasive plants, and so many were brought over because of the sheer beauty of them, and
absolutely
just have no way of controlling them. And we were talking to Mandy Barber, who's got incredible vegetables, so she has all these perennial veg, and she's a real advocate for us not planting all the annuals that we have to restart your veg beds every year, but plant the walking onions, for example, that will come back year after year after year, and this real low maintenance and more traditional sort of way of managing.
See, I know
your
nothing about that. This is what's fascinating. I mean, perennial veg. I didn't even know you could get such a thing.
No, exactly. Well, you should listen to our Chit-Chat with Mandy Barber.
I will.
You should.
Will
learn
now.
all about
I'll
it.
I'll send you a link, Nick.
Perfect.
But she said that somebody, I can't remember, someone she works closely with who's also growing perennial veg, actually grew, but in a confined tub, was growing Japanese knotweed because it does keep coming back year after year, and it's delicious eaten.
Oh, wow. Okay, wow.
It is interesting hearing these different views of something that absolutely terrifies me. It's no secret. I talk about it regularly. It just freaks me out, the thought of it, because I hear all horror stories. I also have a mother who will freak me out with horror stories about it. So it probably all comes from that bit, like your mum and spiders. It's my mum and Japanese knotweed. But when I hear you with a more relaxed attitude and Mandy talking about, well, if you keep it in a tub, it tastes good, it softens the blow a bit and makes me
definitely
have more perspective on it than I would otherwise.
I think if anything is vilified, it's kind of amplified, unfairly. And I think, the rhododendron ponticum, I mean, the most beautiful plant, but actually it's just been allowed to run amok through all our native woodlands and rampant, so
exactly.
You can see why they're notifiable and why they're problematic, but it doesn't mean that it's not an amazing plant.
Well, we're going to finish on the finale question, which is, what would be your favourite seating area to chillax on, drink to have, and plant to have by your side?
I think that's got to be one of those old ergonomic metal Victorian benches in a kind of shady-ish nook of a garden with a climbing rose kind of on a Victorian wall behind. So somewhere tucked away, scented, comfortable, without cushions. I mean, the hassle of cushions and garden furniture, that does my head in.
Such a shame, isn't it, the hassle of them?
Yeah.
We have that problem, and I love the cushions being out. I hate the whole bringing them out in the morning, bringing them back in the evening.
Yeah.
Is it going to rain? Isn't it going to rain?
And also, if something's well designed and it's ergonomic without a cushion, then that's
this
perfect.
Is true.
Because actually, you don't. Yeah. When you ever plan to like, I need to get the cushion. Oh my god, it's going to rain, and I'm going out, and I've got to take them into the. And they spend their whole life piled up in the hallway or the kitchen or somewhere.
Yeah. All of that.
Yeah. So I think an ergonomic, low maintenance bench with
Very nice.
my favourite rose actually for that would be Sally Holmes, which is a short climber and grows to it says about 5 foot on the label, but I've got one to 10 foot here.
Right.
On a wall. It's on an east-facing wall. It has huge trusses of single kind of pale apricot lemon flowers. Ooh. And the petal, bearing in mind I'm very windy here as well, the petals never fly off. So you're not suddenly covered in that debris of kind of rose petals. So, and it's really fantastic. And because it's a nice open flower, it's really good for wildlife as well.
Yes, of course. Yeah, so a tough rose. And does it have a scent?
Rose. Light. It can't do everything.
Yeah.
Give it a break.
No, you're absolutely right. Sorry, Sally Holmes.
Sorry, Sally.
And what colour's your bench going to be?
Oh, yeah.
I think a really nice kind of, that
brown.
kind of verdigris kind of...
brown.
Not brown. No, like a verdigris metal kind of colour, like not galvanised, like a dull galvanised.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Dull galvanised.
That could be a romance novel, couldn't it? A dull galvanised bench.
That sounds like the male protagonist from a romance novel. His name is Galvanised. Dull
galvanised. Oh, fantastic. And then what have you been drinking to chillax with?
Do you know what? You can't beat a cup of tea. And for the last 10 years, I've been having black tea. I used to have milk and 2 sugars. Because I used to have milk and 2 sugars, and I drink a lot of tea. And I thought, I'm having too much sugar, so I'm going to cut out the sugar. And then I just didn't like the taste of the milk without the sugar. So I went to black tea.
Black.
And,
wow.
Yeah, so I made myself a pot of tea with 1 tea bag, 1 Assam tea bag, a whole pot of tea, and I let it kind of go, just do its thing. And, I sit on my desk now I've got a pot of tea on my desk. And I just top myself up as I'm working. Love it.
So even when it's kind of cold at the end, you're still drinking that cold tea?
You can still drink it. Whereas if it's got milk in
it's
cold, it's horrible.
Ooh, yeah.
But black tea and Assam tea, good tea, like anything too strong, like a Yorkshire tea or a Gold or one of those, it's just horrible black. They're too dry. Too much kind of tannins, whereas the Assam 1 tea bag and a whole pot tea is lovely and light and refreshing.
Right.
And,
okay.
So a cup of tea on your bench with a rose, Sally Holmes rose. And what view are you looking at from your bench?
Yes.
Across my estate and my pond and my willow tree.
Yeah.
with my stone barns and I can.
Yeah. The whole lot. Are you south facing? In the dream garden?
So the house is south facing, but the wall is north facing. So I quite like a shady kind of garden that's got pockets of sunlight.
Oh wait, this is your actual garden.
This is my actual garden, but I do like. So if I had a south facing garden like you, I would have to be putting in some shade. So some lovely tree canopies, some a bit of a pergola. It's really weird because we're when we're out gardening and we kind of garden all through the year. It's that tipping point in the year when you're stopping for a cup of tea, you stand in the sun, and then at some point, maybe May, June, where it's like you're then looking for
into
the shade.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love how the body just knows that that's what you should be doing.
And it's nice to have that variety, isn't it? It's nice to have the seasons,
absolutely,
which we do still have, which is a relief. Yeah. Do you have concerns? And I talk about this because it's something close to my heart, because I'm sort of having now, with my aged skin and having spent a lot of my time outside worrying about skin cancer.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're very conscious of as a garden designer and someone who does garden maintenance outside all the time?
Now, in the last probably 5 years, I always wear Fact 50. particularly on my face, and because I'm too vain and I don't like tan lines. And once you've got a gardener's tan, you ain't getting rid of it. So
I can understand
I've been in times in my life where I've spent my whole early summer working in socks and shorts, and you go on holiday and you
not a good look.
Not getting rid of those white feet at all. So
no,
an Englishman abroad, that is.
Yeah, exactly. So factor 50 on all the tan joins. So tops of the arms, legs, always factor 50. Yeah.
And a hat, or do you not worry about the back of your head?
Sometimes a cap, but actually I prefer, it's quite hard. I can't work in sunglasses. If I'm out in the summer and I'm doing gardening, I can't work in sunglasses. So sometimes a hat, not always, because it just gets a bit sweaty and dusty.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. I get that.
Yeah.
Entirely.
I'd rather have staff holding an umbrella over me.
Yes. One day, Nick. One day.
Silently.
Yeah, invisibly even.
Yeah. Talking about glasses, sometimes when I'm working with Mum in the garden, I have to hold on her glasses to make sure.
Oh yeah. There's nothing worse when you're continually or you're muddy and you're trying to push them up. Yeah, definitely.
Well, Nick, I'm going to read back to you Dream Garden just in case I've missed anything or you want to change anything. Just make sure it's top notch. So we're going with West Sussex area, rural, country estate, 2 acres roundabout with kind of rolling hills, woodland and meadows beyond. And then you wanted a pretty invisible boundary, estate fencing possibly, and then also a Victorian wall for the veg garden. Oh, and ideally no one else around like gardeners.
And perennial veg in the veg garden.
And perennial veg in the veg garden because
From
we now
Mandy
know
Barber's
about that.
incredible vegetables.
Exactly. Then greenhouse, an Alatex dark bronze like a brown car, or a sludgy green colour. We weren't too sure. This is sounding top notch. Then it was going to be either against a wall or a T-shape, so it has different wings areas. Very kind of traditional look for it. And then you're going to have it for cuttings, planting in it as a social space as well. Then your 5 ornamentals, we had hardy geraniums like Orion and Eureka Blue, Salvia caradonna, euphorbias like John Phillips, Hacknacloa macra, and ferns like Diopterus and Polysticum. Then also your 5 edibles, we had rosemary, mint, oregano, Cox's apple tree, Victoria plum. Your 1 tree was a Heptacodium myconoides. You wanted a pond, very natural looking, 10 to 20 meters across, so like a mini lake with a gunner in it or beside it, and then a special mention to a willow tree as well. And then your seating area was going to be in a nice shady nook, but looking over the estate, a metal Victorian bench, ergonomic, so you can sit and chillax.
Without cushions.
And without cushions, exactly. And it's going to be an adult galvanized metal look. You wanted climbing rows on the wall behind you, slightly scented like Sally Holmes, and then a black Assam tea.
Perfect. That sounds pretty perfect.
Spot on.
That's nailed it. Yeah, absolutely nailed it.
One day, Nick?
One day, definitely. One day, definitely.
Fantastic. Well, it's been lovely hearing about your dream garden and also about your career in garden design. I think really quite inspiring for anyone who's looking to pursue the same sort of career.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe one day we'll see you at a show again. Who knows?
I hope so. Yeah, no, it's been really fun. No, it's really fun. Well, if I'm not doing a show, I'll be at the show watching everyone else crying or laughing or whatever.
Great.
Yeah, with the popcorn.
Yeah,
exactly.
Watching it all happen in front of you.
Well, that's been a good old chit-chat with Nick.
Thank you very much.